Hey guys, Drew here again. Thanks for stopping by. As you guys seen in my last video here, I was able to pick up the win here in my modified. I do race again this week and actually tomorrow. So I'm going to take you through a pre-race kind of check over on the race car here. Everything I do week to week, just to make sure that this thing's ready to hit the track and I don't have any kind of problems or anything like that. Thought maybe you guys would be interested in that. So I'll go ahead and start here on the front end. I'll just give you a quick talk over what I'm going to do here, and then I'll get into it. We'll time lapse it. Before I took the wheels off here, I checked these front hubs, which I had redone here before that last race, so those are still good. So what I'll do is I'll check the front shocks over here and check the bolts, make sure those are all good. I check over the headers, make sure them haven't worked loose. I'll also do the same up on the carburetor up there and the adapter plate and also the air cleaner. I check all my fittings on the power steering and all that kind of stuff. Biggest thing is I'll check these motor mount bolts. These engines like to shake and they're solidly mounted, so the bolts like to work loose. So we'll definitely give them a good check over. I'll check over the tie rod ends, all the steering components, make sure they're all still tight. Then we'll work to the back and I'll check all my trailing arms, but I will pick you back up and flip you over so you guys can see that when it's time. Other than that, let's dive right into it. Alrighty guys, so you can see I checked over most of that stuff. I'm going to pick you up, turn you around, and I'm going to kind of visually show you what I was doing there. And then we'll also check my fluids. Alrighty guys, so since I got you flipped around here, I'll show you what I was doing here. So obviously these here are my adjusters. Those are my screw jack adjusters. Those control my heights, my loads. But I checked these main bolts here on the strut, or on the shock, I'm sorry. And I just make sure them haven't backed out. Also check these ball joint bolts, and then this slider tie rod end. Then here's this main bolt I was telling you. These are what work loose a lot. Obviously these headers kind of do too from getting so hot, so you can see these little 8 mils. Well, not 8 mils, but 8 mils what I use, is what I got. Them like to work loose. Also these bolts up here on the carburetor from it expanding. They like to work loose, so I check them every week for sure. Obviously my hose clamps. And then this right front hub here I check quite frequently. Make sure it's still good. No play in that. So obviously I do the same here on this shock, and then kind of same stuff. All these ball joint bolts. I'll check, you know, obviously up in here, sway bar lengths, lower length, and I'll check this tie rod as well. Same thing over here. Header bolts, main engine bolt right there. Check all these fittings here on the fuel pump, obviously the radiator hose again. I do check this distributor bolt, make sure that's still tight. This wing nut here never really likes to back off with that style. But on the front end, that's basically it. Obviously I had this thing running here a while ago, warmed it up, made sure the idle was still good, all that nature. But so I'll bring you down here. Let me grab a screwdriver real quick. Of course I don't got one in my hand at the moment. I'll grab my seat. I'll take you with to check these fluids just to make sure we're all topped off. So right here is going to be my Willwood. This is for my clutch pedal. This controls my throw out. Oh boy, we got her on there tight. Oh. I'll pop this off, we'll check this, which is still good. We'll pop that cap on. Right here is obviously I got a master cylinder for the front and one for the rear here. As soon as I get this cap back on, we'll check these. Usually these don't obviously go bad unless you got some sort of leak. So usually all I gotta do is pop this. I can see we got fluid in that one, so that one is good. Pop this one, we'll just do the same thing here. We'll just make sure we didn't lose brake fluid. We're good there. So obviously had working brakes this last week, and we still got brake fluid. So really, barring disaster, usually the brake fluids don't really change much. So that's really all I got for the front. Obviously got a lot of tire work to do, you know, figuring out stagger and stuff again, but that'll be later, probably tomorrow. So what I'll do now is I'll set you guys down. I'm going to zip off these rear wheels and I'll show you what I checked there. Alrighty guys, so I'm gonna flip you around. I'll show you what I was checking down here. Rear end's actually pretty simple here. So obviously I check these shocks as well down here. The bolt right down there, you can see. Then my trailing arms here, all I do is check this main nut up here, and then there's a bolt right down there, you can see. Another 3/4. I checked those. Check that lead right there. Just make sure there's no axle seal leaking, nothing like that. Make sure the brakes are looking good, which that all looks fine down here. You can kind of see I've made some lineup marks down on the rear end here, so I can see if any of these, you know, shift or slide or pivot. I do check that main nut right there as well. Then I won't bore you with me crawling under here, but obviously on the drive shaft back here, I do check those retainers. Also underneath the car there's some shift linkages. I do check all of them as well. Then obviously I will put my battery charger on all overnight since this thing does not have an alternator. Alrighty guys, now that I got the other side of the rear end done, just like I showed you over here, I put the wheels and tires back on and set it back on the ground. I'll flip you around and tell you what I still got to do yet. Alrighty guys, so obviously the next thing I would probably have to do here is check my air pressure in all my tires, as you know, put them where I would want them as I'm going out on the track. That way I can measure stagger in each tire, basically just checking the size of the tires. Let me grab my stagger gauge here. I'll show you exactly how I do that usually. Sorry, a little shaky. Alright, so usually what I do is I'll take this gauge here, kind of just goes on around the tire, and you know, that'll give me a measurement over here of how big the tire is. So let's say, oh, it's 83 inches. So what I would do is I would check all 4 of those like that, make sure I have the stagger where I want it side to side. But obviously I'm not going to do that because I will be changing all 4 of these tires out tomorrow. So I'll have to do all that tomorrow. But as for tonight, you can see I got it all back together, put back on the ground. I will charge the battery overnight. But other than that, I should be ready to roll for tomorrow. Hopefully the weather will hold out and I'll be able to race again. Hoping for another good night. Made a few small changes from last week. I did increase the spoiler angle up a little bit, hopefully to slow me down a little bit on the straightaways. I also changed out my rev box to something that'll hopefully slow me down a little bit more too. You guys could tell in that video last week, I did have quite a few fast laps, right around that 22.0 second. I think I ran about 4 or 5 laps at that time. And I was lifting pretty good, and also still moving up the track, just trying to slow myself down. So I did a few things here to try to slow down the car physically, so I can run it a little harder, be a little bit more consistent. not have to rely on kind of guessing. But that's all I got for tonight. Thanks for watching, guys. Really appreciate it. Make sure you like and subscribe if you like these. Wish me luck for tomorrow. Peace.